let's rock and roll. Everybody ready to go? Looks like we've got a great group on the screen here. I will continue to watch the weight room and let folks in. And at this point, I will turn it over to Mr. Andy Flynn. Welcome, everybody.
Well, thank you, Ruth, and hello, everyone, and welcome to our March edition of Lunch Bunch. It's great to see everyone here today and a few new faces. For those who don't know me, I'm Andy Flynn, class of 86 and 98, and Director of Alumni Engagement at Mines. If this is your first Lunch Bunch, welcome. And for those of you who are regular attendees, thank you for your continued interest and support, and welcome back on this nice snowy day in Golden, Colorado. But we're happy to have you with us today as we continue our monthly look at people and the programs that make Mines great. As Mines prepares for the annual Capstone Design Fair coming up next month, we are excited to hear from Engineering, Design, and Society Department Head, Dr. Dean Nusma. And as I noticed on the link, we've got several of the EDS team also attending, and welcome to you. This signature experience showcases students' teamwork, innovation, talent, and problem-solving skills in a client-driven design project. Capstone is truly, I think, one of our really gems on campus that not only brings in great projects and demonstrates just the outstanding students that we have, but also brings in students that are looking at mines to get them excited about engineering. So Capstone is just really continues to be a great program here on campus. So before we start, I do have a few quick reminders as we do each month. Any questions that you submitted with your RSVP have been shared with our speaker. And if you think of a question during the program, please feel free to use the chat function. We'll keep an eye on that. And if we run out of time and don't get to your question, we'll circle back with you after the program. All of our Lunch Bunch programs are recorded and can be accessed on the Lunch Bunch page of the alumni website at weare.mines.edu. So if you missed one and want to listen again, or would like to share the program with a friend, visit this page to see the complete archive of recordings. I would also like to put in a plug, as this is discussing Capstone, is that we always are looking for volunteer judges for this program and have opportunities to participate in the Capstone judging. We welcome and encourage any alumni that are interested to do so. And you can find those opportunities at weare.mines.edu or at volunteer.mines.edu. So that was my plug. As always, if you have any ideas for future speakers or topics, we want to know about them, and you can contact me or anyone in the alumni office with your suggestions. So with that, please join me in welcoming Dr. Nusma to Lunch Bunch. Take it away.
Okay, thanks so much for the introduction, Andy, and thanks, Ruth, for the coordination, support, and getting me on the agenda here. Again, my name is Dean Nusma. I'm Department Head of Engineering, Design, and Society at Mines. I'll give you just a tiny bit about me and the department, and then I'll move into overview some of our programming, the scope of our programming, and then I'll dig into Capstone. Really, I'm just going to elaborate on the description that Andy already provided, and then I'll culminate with an overview of the design showcase that's going to happen here in April, and opportunities for folks to be involved. So I came to Mines in 2018 after a career developing integrated social, technical, creative design programming at Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute, upstate New York. 2018 was just very shortly after the Engineering, Design, and Society Department was created. EDS is Mines' newest academic department, but I'm learning not to call it new anymore. We do have 5+ years under our belt, and we're getting established, and we're getting oriented to the campus and our special unique contributions to the campus community. EDS was created as a change agent on campus to drive innovation in academic programming, in pedagogy, and classroom delivery, to increase the scope of design education across campus, and to be an organizational innovator in terms of our deeply interdisciplinary, student-centered structure, the structure of the department. So our faculty span all the disciplines in our title, engineering and natural sciences, folks with product and sustainability design backgrounds, and then a wide range of social scientists and engineering education experts. So Engineering, Design, and Society launched in 2017. I come on 2018. We launch our undergraduate major in 2019. We launch a graduate program in Humanitarian Engineering and Science, 2020. Pandemic hits, we keep chugging through like the whole institution. Now we're back reoriented and building out again. I will say when EDS was formed, both Cornerstone and Capstone design already existed in a different configuration, just administratively reconfigured with the creation of the department. So I'll jump into my slides and include a little bit more of that overview of the department before overviewing Capstone in greater detail again, and then ending on the showcase. Ruth promised to keep an eye on the chat, which I will certainly lose track of. But I also invite folks, if they have questions as we go, to interrupt me. My goal is to give you just enough information so that we can have a well-oriented conversation at the end. But I'd rather have conversation than overwhelm you with detail. So let me jump in. So our academic programming includes a degree program, an undergraduate degree program in design engineering. Again, this was launched under a different name in 2019. Originally, it was called a Bachelor of Science in Engineering. Folks who live in the engineering world know that as general engineering. General engineering doesn't describe what we do. It's also a branding buzzkill. Nobody wants a general degree. Folks want a focused, a deep, engaged, something specific. Design is what we do, front to back, beginning to end. All of us, regardless of discipline, all do design. And design is what our students do, first semester to last semester. So we renamed that BS degree program Design Engineering just this year, and already it's having positive impact. We have long offered undergraduate programming in humanitarian engineering, minors. One in engineering for community development, which is what most people would understand humanitarian engineering to be. But since most mines students don't go into international development, instead they go to corporate contexts, we also offered a spin-off version in leadership and social responsibility to focus on corporate social responsibility, ESG, bringing the humanitarian engineering insights into a more traditional corporate context. And then, as I mentioned, we launched a brand new interdepartmental master's graduate degree programming in humanitarian engineering and science. So those are our EDS core programming. Then we also offer programming to the campus community at large, and that is first year Cornerstone design and senior year Capstone design. We often refer to these as our bookend design programs. Cornerstone Design serves all of campus. All students at Mines take our Cornerstone Design course, ideally their first year. And then Capstone Design serves about 40% of campus undergraduates, and I'll overview those programs in a second. So Capstone Design sits within a pretty well articulated and full set of course offerings in the design and the application of engineering principles to real human problems. That's what we do in EDS. Okay, so as Andy said, I mean, he kind of gave the outline in his overview of the program. It is interdisciplinary, project-based, client-sponsored, 2-semester engineering design experience. So I'm just going to unpack each one of these a little bit and then end with a showcase. So we have 5 participating academic programs that participate in Capstone. So the EDS department's design engineering program that I just introduced, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, and then the civil and environmental engineering department has 2 degree programs, one in civil engineering, one in environmental engineering. So the structure of the program is that it's predominantly led by the faculty representing each of those programs. So the faculty representatives of each department and therefore the programs within that department are listed there. So Chelsea Salinas, Christy Savina, Abid Arkadon, and Christoph Kinsley sort of do the 95% of the program development, delivery, continuous improvement. They run the show, but they don't run the show alone. They rely heavily on the support of our 2 staff persons, Leah Fitzgerald, who is here with us today, who is the EDS Stakeholder Relations Manager. She's responsible for strategic outreach and partnerships across our programming, including Capstone Design. So she works extensively with our diverse client sponsor community and developing strategic partnerships with folks we would like to work with, but aren't quite yet. And then also our Capstone administrative coordinator, Kirsten Kelly. So those 6 people really do run the show. The course is project-based, and I suspect everyone participating understands how important project-based learning has become in higher education, certainly so in engineering. It concretizes and creates an opportunity for students to apply the theoretical knowledge that they learn in the majority of their coursework. So these projects important. Is there a question, Ruth?
I do have a question. I'm so sorry to interrupt you,
No,
Dean, but
please.
I know you have slides to share, and I'm not sure you're showing them.
Oh,
yet. If
wow.
you are, we're not seeing them.
Well, you need my slides.
I do. We all do. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Gary. I thought I knew you had some, but I wasn't sure if you were going to do those later or if...
No.
Okay.
And
I'm so
everybody,
sorry.
Ruth and I, we piloted this. We proved it. I just need to press go.
Okay. Thank you. There we go. Okay.
There we go.
All right.
Okay. I'll just show you. So there's the slide. That's me. Oh, and I, you know, the Rayleigh triangle is a thing. I haven't emphasized it enough, but I've long used the Venn diagram to support our interdisciplinary approach. So STEM excellence, design innovation, and social impact is where we live. So here's the EDS slide in our programs that I overviewed. Here's Capstone Design as Andy described it. And then I'm going to elaborate each one of these. So here are this is our leadership team. So here you see the 5 academic programs and the 4 academic leaders, along with Leah and Kirsten. These are the folks who really deliver the Capstone's vision. Okay, so open-ended real-world engineering challenges. This is really important to us. So project-based learning engages students, but real professional work is open-ended. And so much of engineering education focuses on decontextualized problems that lead to if not a right answer, an optimal answer. And we know that real-world engineering is wide open and you don't always know where it's pointing. So Capstone Design is intended to prepare students for the transition to the real world by engaging in this ill-structured, open-ended problem solving. They do the full scope of design problem solving, so everything from problem definition through considering a variety of potential solutions to identifying a preferential solution and specifying it. Prototyping, ideally early, but not always, prototyping and iteration and learning through the actual building out of prototypes, and ultimately, ideally, solution verification and testing. And a critical component of our course structure is that clients are engaged from the beginning in every phase. Clients don't just explain to our students what the problem is and then disappear. They are engaged through the whole process. Speaking of clients, so every project has an has a client, has a sponsor who is the point in representing their problem to the students. So the students don't go on a tangent and solve what they think is the problem. So these are client identified challenges that we vet to ensure that they meet our requirements for students' learning outcomes. They need to be sufficiently complex, not too complex. They typically need to be interdisciplinary, and they need to be scoped within a reasonable 8-month project cycle, which I'll talk about in a second. We have a wide diversity. Oh, so as I mentioned, the clients, they must assign a point person. We require somebody that the students can reliably communicate with when they run into challenges, have questions, need feedback. Our clients are very diverse, spanning industry and lots of different industries, government agencies, non-governmental organizations, as well as community groups. We have a sponsorship fee and client project agreement structure in place, and we have a sliding scale of 5,000 to 0. Government agencies, some NGOs and community groups sometimes legally cannot or cannot afford to pay a sponsorship fee. For those who can afford the $5,000 sponsorship fee, in principle is split between the project at $2,500 and overhead. But in fact, it doesn't really pay overhead. We use that money to subsidize those projects that can't afford to pay. So our goal in terms of the dollar by dollar outlay each term is to be relatively neutral, although we're a little negative, and foundation support helps us with that. And then importantly, clients provide strategic alignments between our program, alumni, foundation. This is a great program to create alignments for the institution. And when we end with the showcase, we can talk more about what different sorts of engagements can look like. Okay, so it's a 2-semester capstone. 2 semesters is important. So it's a 2-course sequence, both offered out of EDS. But the most important thing about the 2-course sequence is that it allows 8 months. Most of us who live in academic do learn to interpret all of the complexity of the world in 4-month increments. You know, if it can't be distilled into 16 weeks, it doesn't exist. But 16 weeks is actually short for a real world engineering project that has any degree of complexity. So having the 2-semester sequential cycle really does allow us to grapple with much more complex problems than we could possibly do in 1 term. And generally the breakdown is a lot of project research, problem scoping, design concepting happens in the 1st term. So students are really well oriented and have a direction that's clear and likely to be effective at the start of their 2nd term. So start of the 2nd term, they are focused and ready to go, and they can start actually designing and building right out of the gate that 2nd semester. We do offer both cycles. So most of our students, 3/4, maybe 4/5, start in the fall and end in the spring in a traditional academic cycle, so 1 academic year. But about 1/5 or 1/4 of our students start in the spring and end in the fall, with the summer intervening. So they're on a calendar year cycle instead of an academic year cycle. And that just helps facilitate student scheduling and time to graduation if they're graduating, in 4.5 years, say. Okay. And at the end of the day, this is an engineering design course. It is the culmination and ideally application of all the students have learned over their time at Mines. As I alluded to earlier, the open-ended nature as well as the client engagement does really prepare students for professional practice. So it's a wonderful transition from traditional coursework to graduation and careers in engineering. And this last bullet is that we emphasize, yes, the technical skills. It's an engineering design project after all, but ultimately also professional skills. And we take the professional skills development quite seriously in the program. The stakeholder engagement is an extensive part of their experience. A lot of attention to communications and how to communicate well and often, ideally, with their clients, but also written reports, etc. The content of the lecture part of the course, the non-project part of the course, centers on Scrum project management. So teaching students to think about scheduling and budgets and all things related to managing complex projects. We attend a bit to value creation, right? It doesn't just have to be a neat idea. It has to fit into an organizational context, which has costs and financial opportunities associated with it. And then we also are interested in teaching them professional skills in terms of being professionals and thinking about the various organizational, social, environmental contexts of their design work, as well as reflecting on engineering ethics and responsibilities they have as professional engineers. So that is a pretty quick and dirty overview of the course structure and motivation. The design showcase, so April 27th, 9 to 11 in Lockridge Arena. I will say 9 to 11 is the public participation part, so judging happens a little before that, and we have an orientation and breakfast for judges and VIPs before the orientation, so that all starts at 7. This year's showcase, we will have 424 senior engineering students, likely the vast majority of them graduating in May, across 76 unique projects. 76 distinct engineering projects are coming to fruition in April at the showcase. Among those 76 projects are 11 competition projects. So some of the engineering professional societies and student groups run various competitions. Some companies run competitions. So for example, Shell sponsors an eco marathon race car. Our students will be participating in that national competition in a few weeks in Indianapolis. Steel bridge, concrete canoe from the civil engineers do competitions. I think last year we won first place in one and second place in the other. We placed quite well. We also have a variety of themed design studios where we bring together projects of a similar sort. I mentioned earlier that EDS has a humanitarian engineering minor and graduate degree. A lot of mine students are interested in humanitarian applications of engineering. So that third bullet there, engineering with communities design studio, really aligns with our humanitarian, not only serving them, open to the broader community, but focusing on humanitarian engineering challenges. Before that one, the human-centered design studio focuses on adaptives for disabled folks, a lot of sports equipment for, say, disabled vets, so they can stay physically engaged and engaged in the sporting passions that they may have had before they were injured. There's also a sustainable engineering design studio. This year we have 35 unique external sponsors, plus a wide range of internal sponsors. Many of those sponsors do sponsor more than one project. As promised, the showcase, Capstone Design generally, but the showcase in particular, is a great way for alum or other Minds partners to get involved. It's a light commitment. You come, you participate in judging the projects. the judging actually contributes to awards that we offer at the end of the semester. We have a big awards banquet, and we feed everybody breakfast, and we give a wide range of awards, whether it's serving communities or technical sophistication or high resolution prototyping. So folks who are interested can communicate through the foundation's portal to sign up to be a judge for the showcase. Alum and the public are welcome to attend the showcase, again, starting at 9 a.m. in Lockridge Arena. And then also importantly, Leah here is a good contact, and our website is a good opportunity for folks interested in exploring whether they may have projects that might be appropriate for our capstone students to work on. We are always interested in expanding our partnership pool and identifying interesting, innovative, challenging engineering challenges for our students to work on. So for that, I can direct you to the Capstone website, which I list here. If you jump on the website, here's the landing page for the showcase, which just reiterates the information I've shared. Also gives you gives a teaser on some of the types of projects available. Allie, I see your hand. I'll just do this last slide, and then we'll turn to questions. So thanks so much. There's a picture of showcase last year, the year before. It's a big party. It's high energy. We get 1,000 people through that space, and it's really exciting to see the students dressed up and proud to present the culmination of 8 months of a real world engineering challenge. That is my pitch. Thanks everybody for listening. And Allie, question?
More comment as well.
Yeah, please.
Thank you so much, Dean, for presenting. I wanted everybody on this call to also be aware the foundation works with a lot of the student teams on crowdfund fundraising to supplement their stipends that they get out of the program. So for those also wanting to help support some of these initiatives and help them come to life, twice a year, we work with student teams, once in the fall, once in the spring, on fundraising through Gold Mine. So if anybody's ever interested, I work with those student teams to help on those fundraising initiatives, along with Kirsten Kelly. So just reach out to anybody at the foundation. We can always get you connected. I know this spring we're working with Concrete Canoe. They're looking for some additional funding to help travel to the national competition. As you can imagine, it's a bit expensive to transport not only the team, but the physical concrete canoe. And then we're also working with a student team called Over the Dusty Moon. So they're working to build a regolith little machine that helps mine moon rocks. Essentially, it's actually a really cool project. So they're looking to supplement some of their build costs. But yeah, just wanted to plug Gold Mine for the project teams.
Indeed, thank you for doing that. And students, the projects have very varying success in fundraising. But for some of them, they actually raise far more than we are able to provide them for budgets, and rarely can we afford to support teams travel. So this is a really nice supplement to their budget to travel to competitions. Other questions?
I have a question. Dean?
Yeah, Ruth. Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about the process of working with companies? Do you reach out to them and say, hey, this is happening, we'd love for you to be involved if you've got something? Or do they come to you and say, I know you have this program, here's this how do you hook up sponsors or companies with these projects? How does that happen?
By hook or crook, is that the expression? Anyway, we are always looking for projects, and Leah, you can anticipate I'm going to hand this one to you in just a second. We do have a web portal for all project submissions because we do get a lot, and we do a lot of vetting. I mean, we have to prioritize student learning. We are not a job shop, so they have to be the right sorts of projects.
Right.
But we do have a portal to get that conversation started. And Leah is responsible for thinking broadly about ways to do that. And that includes many of us, including predominantly the leadership team members on the program, for pushing it out to their departments and having all the faculty communicate with their networks. But it's ultimately a lot of networking, and the more connections we have, the better. So that's my intro. Leah, will you take it over?
Yeah, definitely. I can jump in there. Yeah, as Dean alluded to, it's definitely through a lot of different sources. There's a lot of clients that come to us that have been partnering with Capstone Design for years. So it's a lot of legacy clients that keep coming back. And those are the clients that I feel like really know how to scope an appropriate project. And so they know they've done it before. They know what to expect. They know the time commitment that it takes to be a client here at Minds and be supportive to our student teams. So a lot of legacy folks do come in. But yeah, it's a lot of networking, a lot of leveraging our internal communities, working with our partners in the Office of Industry Relations, working with the Career Center, working with Foundation. So there's a lot of partnerships there, and then doing a lot of local media pushes as well. Because I think, while we do have even some international clients, I think the clients that can be local and make themselves available to our students are even that much more valuable. Give themselves like site access and have the students come out to their location. So a little bit of everything. But yeah, as Dean said, we're always looking. But yeah, we do a lot of that validation and scoping on our end. So if it doesn't quite come in as a full 2-semester project, we can work with folks to kind of expand that scope and work with them to make that valuable project for students over that time frame.
Thank you.
Dean Bill Zich here. Thanks so much for the presentation and the information. It's very helpful. A quick question just about how you manage things. Is there a typical size of the team that you have, and are there limits to that? And how do you ensure participation by everyone on the team?
I can do better on the front, and I'll speculate on the back end of that question. Our target team generically is 5 to 6 students for course structure, scheduling, coordination, class sizing, teaching loads, learning. Then that is of course modified by the complexity of the project. So we do need to make sure, like, the starting point to ensure everybody's engaged, to make sure the project is complex and diverse enough for the number of students assigned to each get to have an opportunity to dig in. So the last thing we want is a project that 3 students could easily complete, and we stick 6 students on, and then 3 students, not only do they kind of have permission to disappear, but the project doesn't suffer, right? So we need to get those aligned. That's part of our project scoping. Some projects will have only, I don't know if I recall any 3 student projects, but 4 is definitely a possibility. 5 and 6 is most common. It can go to 8, it can go to 10. We've had 12. Even in certain rare instances, larger teams with very complex problems, like electric, last year's electric Baja racer, very complex, many subsystems, very large team of mechanical and electrical engineers to deliver that project. In terms of ensuring students participate, I mean, a large part of that is the course instructor. I mean, we do, so importantly, we keep each course unit. So there are multiple projects, but each course unit should be about 20 to maximum 30 students. So an instructor has few enough students, and that ideally that's 4, maybe 5 projects, that they can really keep their eye on all of the students and all of the projects. So we do have instructional oversight to help ensure that the ratio is such that there are eyes on the ground for all the projects. And lastly, students do peer evaluations. That's part of their course grade. So students also will check each other to make sure that everybody is participating.
Excellent. Thanks.
Yep.
I do see a question in the chat from Gary Hoffman.
Okay, I've got
Gary,
it.
do you want to just read your question? I see you there on the screen.
Oh,
Oh, there we go. Okay, take it away, Gary.
Oh, my question was just a little on maybe on the Cornerstone projects. Are those assigned? Do the students just pick something? Do they have a sponsorship there? And is there maybe opportunities for like alumni to say, hey, how about looking at this or that?
Yeah, Gary, thanks for that question. Cornerstone design is structured quite differently in many respects. For simplicity, I just say Cornerstone design, and there are bookend projects, and every student takes Cornerstone. But in practice, Cornerstone design also is a 2-course sequence. The first course is a required course for everybody. So that's what I usually refer to when I say Cornerstone design. But currently, about 1/3 of the campus community takes our second course in the Cornerstone design sequence, Cornerstone Design 2. That second course, targeting sophomores, not the same disciplinary participants as Capstone design. That second course is a project-based course that includes client-sponsored projects of lesser scope and complexity than Capstone design, both because it's a 1-semester course and importantly, they're sophomores and not seniors. So there is that possibility in Cornerstone design to get sophomores working on a 1-semester Cornerstone design project. Those tend to be less disciplinary. They're sophomores after all. They don't have the disciplinary analytic toolbox yet. But that is an option. Cornerstone Design 1, the required course for everyone, because it's required for everyone, because of the wide range of majors who participate, because we have, 1,300 students moving through every semester, that course is more tightly organized. We can't deal with the complexity of multiple projects. So every project and every student in that course gets the same design assignment. The opportunity is that design assignment is pretty open-ended. So an example might be last year's construction waste recovery. Well, that is why you could take that in a million different directions, and our students do. It gives some grounding, some context. We bring in some subject matter experts who know something specific about that domain. But then students can propose solutions in, metal recovery or sorting or removal of hazardous materials or whatever. They can take it in lots and lots of different directions. So that course, because of how tightly articulated it is and how complex it is to offer it to everybody at the same time in the same sequence, is not deliberately not a client-sponsored project. But Design 2 does provide that opportunity, and the good news is the point person is still Leah. Other questions, concerns, and I'm happy to talk also about other things in EDS. Ruth did query me if folks are interested in anything Innovation Hub. I might have to sort through my slide deck, but
Okay.
I'm prepared to pitch on InnoHub as well. But was it Natasha who was up and then disappeared?
I think,
Hi, Dean. Thank you so much for you and your team for being here today to talk about this very exciting part of Minds. And that was very much my question, as those of us here in Golden are so excited to see the progress on the Labriola Innovation Hub. And I just wondered if you could share a little bit more about that and how, of course, how that will impact the Cornerstone and Capstone projects, and of course, all of the other student-driven projects too.
Yes, yes, yes. Excellent. So I'm just wondering, so I have a whole innovation hub and innovation ecosystem slide deck. So I'm just wondering if there's any one, why don't I just start with the floor plan, because that makes it very material. Okay, I'm actually going to share this time. Hopefully you see that floor plan of the InnoHub. Yeah, okay. Okay, so innovation ecosystem, full on assault, well, assault is maybe the wrong word, a commitment by the university to radically improve our, increase our engagement with entrepreneurship and innovation academically, in terms of possible business models, in terms of technology development. The innovation ecosystem as being built out has three main facility components with allied programs. McNeil Hall for teaching, that's where all of our design, most of our design courses happens in the new McNeil Hall attached to the parking garage. Step 1, step 2, Labriola Innovation Hub, that's the makerspace, making, designing, collaborating, innovating. I'll talk about that in a little bit more detail. And step 3 is the Beck Venture Center and commercialization launch, moving from, yes, it's a great idea, to how do we put this in the world in a viable way. So the Innovation Hub is outside of my window. I can turn my camera and you could get just the corner of it. It is a frame. They are quickly closing in the walls. The concrete was poured a month ago. I was very pleased on Monday to watch a crane drop the mechanicals into the building. Being stationed behind it means I get to keep a very close eye on the progress. We are hiring a director. Right now, we have our third of our 3 finalist candidates on campus today to serve as director of that facility. We were very, very lucky to get 3 excellent candidates with extensive experience, not only running, but launching maker spaces. As those of you, well, whether you know or not, Minds is a little bit late to the game in the makerspace arena, and we're making up for that by going all in. We are going to catapult to the front, to become a leader in university maker spaces with this investment. Practically speaking, so this is the first floor, student-centered makerspace, not a research building, not controlled by faculty or departments. This is a student resource. Think about it as kind of like a library for making stuff, right? Anyone can go in, get trained, get certified, and build. That's the model. Full metal shop, full wood shop, full electronics, embedded hardware, and paint booth, tool crib, that kind of stuff. But big build areas for Cornerstone and Capstone, because we'll push 2,000 students per year through these 2 courses through the Innovation Hub. So the current model is every Cornerstone student will learn how to operate, how to work the InnoHub, including some of the core tools. Not every tool, it's got a lot going on, it's quite complex, but every student will be introduced to the capabilities of the InnoHub and then trained in some selective tool as first-year students, as part of their Cornerstone design experience. That plants the seed for deeper engagement as they go through their education. They think, oh, I could make this on such and such tool. I'm going to the InnoHub and I'm going to prototype this. And then, of course, in Capstone design, those students are ready to build. They are desperate for access to the right equipment. Right now, we have much, but not all of this equipment on campus, here and there and over there, and they need to get permission, and the scheduling doesn't work for this one. This building will consolidate all making activities that students need for their senior design in one-stop shop. So they can move from the wood shop over to the metal shop, upstairs to the 3D printing in the same afternoon. So it's really, really exciting. Scheduled to launch in the fall. I'm not going to hold my breath. We have a contingency plan for the fall, but we are confident that we'll be live in this facility as of spring 2024.
Super cool. Right.
Other questions? Ruth, how does it work? Do I keep talking or?
Oh, no, you're good. I just wanted to make sure we gave enough time for folks to ask another question or make a comment, but I am aware of someone in our audience today, and you know who you are, who would like to share a little bit about his experience as a judge. And I'm
Let's
hoping-
see, am I on?
There he is. There you are.
Oh, okay,
Welcome.
good, good. This is Dan Kragowski. I was at Mines during the 70s, where it was the world's foremost school of mineral engineering. And I am amazed at where it's gone since I was there. I am in Golden, so I get to be on campus kind of whenever I want. I want to let people know that the school is always looking for judges for the Capstone project. I've been a judge 2 or 3 times, and it is an amazing opportunity. Just after you do the judging, just to walk around and talk to the students and see the projects. I am amazed by the human engineering, the things that have gone on with those projects. There are other projects that are just amazing, but the projects that just help people with disabilities, from little kids to older adults, it's mind-blowing, or perhaps blowing your socks off. So if you have an opportunity to be a judge, sign up. You will not regret it. It will change your life. It really will. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thanks, Dan. It's quite exciting to get access to these students at the end of this 8-month cycle, and typically just before they're about ready to leave Mines and go off into the world. There's a lot of enthusiasm for entering students, and then, senioritis is a thing. But there's something about the capstone design, the real world focus, that reanimates them, reminds them of their passions for school and engineering, and prepares them to be thinking about the future. So the energy is just really remarkable.
Very cool. I do see a question in the chat from Steve James. Steve, do you want to turn your microphone on and share your question?
Oh, mic isn't working. Okay, so
Oh,
Steve,
okay.
I can. The question is, will the InnoHub only support civil, mechanical, electrical disciplines? How to support students in resource areas? Really good question. We recognize that this is a challenge and an opportunity. So the InnoHub is very, very explicitly and thoughtfully messaged as a campus resource available to and inviting everyone, regardless of major. And that also, by the way, does include student pet projects. It doesn't have to be a course project for students and faculty and staff to utilize the facility. Of course, we have to prioritize our course delivery, but after that, it's available to everyone. And we anticipate actually a lot of students doing personal fun projects, or course related or course derivative, or maybe co-curricular activity projects. But yes, so far, the design engineering folks and the mechanical are the most participant as we move into the launch phase. it more directly correlates with their current educational structures. We are quite keen, and our directors, the folks, our director candidates are quite invested in a broader model and being creative and thinking about how a facility like this can contribute to the full diversity of majors on campus. We don't have that answer yet, but we recognize the question, we recognize the importance of the challenge of making sure that it is not a disciplinary space, but that all students feel both invited, but ideally even imagine utilizing the space to contribute to their educational journey, regardless of major.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you. Any other questions or comments as we start to wrap up? Dan, I don't think we have had such a passionate call to action for volunteers. I'm so glad that you shared your experience as a judge. And indeed, I think it can be life-changing when you see these projects, many of which will, well, Dean, maybe you could just comment quickly. You know, they will create these projects, these things, and then, you know, is there an opportunity then for that company or that sponsor or even that student to take it to market? I mean, to have legs beyond Minds.
So for the company side, many of them have fully intend to do just that. It maybe not be a direct translation, but it's a real problem that they face and they need a solution for. So the intention absolutely is to implement that solution. And maybe they'll go through a couple of cycles before they figure out how they really want to solve it in practice. In terms of commercialization, I didn't mention, but our McNeil Entrepreneurship and Innovation ecosystem interacts loosely with Capstone because of the way the learning outcomes are structured. It can't be quite as open-ended as an entrepreneurial solution tends to need to be. But there is some articulation there. So yes, it is entirely possible for students, if they have the right relationship with whoever the sponsor is. And I think the hope is that some will spin this off into a next step in the Beck Venture Center. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, so much to look forward to. And this is right around the corner, a little over a month from today. So yes, indeed, if any of you are interested in volunteering to be a judge or wanting to learn about more about Capstone, we hope you'll visit the Capstone website. You can see this here in the chat. I'd also encourage you, alums on the call specifically, to come to the alumni website, which is weare.minds.edu. And you will see a list there on the events page for Capstone, and you can learn more there as well. So before we sign off, let me just give a quick preview for everybody for next month's program, which we always do. April 20th is our next Lunch Bunch session, and we'll be focusing on Minds Career Services operations here. We'll hear from Wendy Winter-Searcy, who is its director. Fresh off of this spring's career fair, she'll give an overview of all the stats and all the exciting news about how that went, where our students are going, the industries that are hiring, and Minds' presence throughout industry. I think you'll find it very impressive. So looking forward to hearing from yet another rock star department from campus. We hope you'll join us, and you can register again at weare.minds.edu. Click on the events tab and you'll see the Lunch Bunch page right there. Anything else for the good of the order? I like to always turn it back over to Andy to close us out. Andy, if you want us to sing the fight song, we will. But if not, I'll just leave it in your lap and we can say goodbye to everybody.
I think you're asking for a lot, but I just again, John Griffin put a link to the volunteer page in the chat. So if it is something that interests you and you want to look at it a little bit closer, please do. Capstone judging will be on April 27th. And generally it runs about the morning, so the full morning, which includes breakfast and a great barbecue lunch at the end. But we're thankful you all showed up today. Very informative, Dean. I appreciate your time today. I hope everybody enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you next month. So go order.
Go Ordiggers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.